The alarm sounded early that beautiful Tuesday morning. Adrenaline was already flowing as I contemplated the short flight from Nashville to our nation's capital. Brenda and I would attend the Congressional Coalition on Adoption dinner that evening. She was being honored for her extraordinary work in adoption as a Tennessee awardee. She, along with other recipients including Stephen Curtis and Mary Beth Chapman, Rosie O'Donnell, and Dave Thomas, founder of Wendy's, was to receive the U.S. Congressional Award Angel in Adoption. Brenda flew up Monday, checked into a hotel several blocks from the Pentagon, and attended a few meetings with government officials. I packed the last few items, reviewing everything I would need, and called Brenda to assure her I was about to leave. With concern in her voice, she explained she had just finished a breakfast with Senator Bill Frist and was in the Russell Senate office building, standing in line to hear Laura Bush speak in support of an education initiative. The First Lady slipped out prematurely when she was informed a plane collided with a World Trade Center tower. Brenda asked me to turn on the news to find out what was happening, and I promised to call her on the way to the airport. I flipped on the television to see thick smoke billowing from the North Tower. Newscasters were speculating about what may have happened when suddenly a plane sliced into the South Tower, causing a massive explosion, showering burning debris to the streets below. A close-up replay showed a jetliner turning toward the tower, colliding near the 60th floor, and you could see the results of the explosion exiting the opposite side of the building. It didn't take long before speculation turned to certainty that America was under attack. Glancing at my watch, I knew if I was to catch my plane, I needed to leave now. I could not even begin to process the shock of what I was seeing, but I said a quick prayer and was out the door. Heading to the airport, I turned on the radio to catch the live coverage. About 15 minutes into the drive, the FAA announced it was banning takeoffs of all civilian aircraft, a national ground stop. Suddenly, I felt I had been thrown into a wild and crazy movie. This horrific event was quickly impacting everything. Would I have time to drive to D.C. in time to make it for the banquet? No, not with the time change. In a daze, my car headed to Brenda's office. She was the director of the Tennessee branch for an international adoption agency. Her employees were surprised to see me, and I briefed them on what had transpired the past hour in New York City. We turned on the television in Brenda's office and continued to watch in disbelief. I tried calling her, but there was no answer, so I left a message explaining the grounding of planes and asking her to return the call as soon as possible. Within seconds, a new tragedy was being telecast. A plane crashed into the west side of the Pentagon, starting a violent fire. We were speechless as we tried to process what was happening, wondering when this vicious attack would end. Within 30 minutes, it was reported a fourth plane had been hijacked and crashed in a rural field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania, obviously heading to Washington, D.C. Only a valiant passenger uprising spared more tragedy in our nation's capital, but was costly for the brave souls on that flight. We could not grasp the gravity and devastation of this moment for our country, even as both towers collapsed and thousands lost their lives. So quickly and violently, we were in the midst of a national crisis. Brenda finally called, to our great relief. She had been in the Russell Senate building when it was evacuated and grabbed a cab to her hotel, which somehow ended up at the White House. Eventually, her cab driver took her to the hotel, which had lost all power. At this point, it was impossible to call the rental company at the airport to inquire about taking the rental car home. Finally, she and a colleague left the dark, crowded hotel lobby and began to drive home. She had driven past the burning Pentagon, a surreal sight, and was fearful about what else could happen. There were power outages throughout the city, and commuter transits quit running. People were walking beside the roads, trying to get home. Businesswomen walked barefoot with high heels removed for the several-mile walk. The entire day was a reminder of how quickly our lives can change and how little is within our control. Just 1 week after this national tragedy, we would be facing a desperate life-or-death situation with our oldest son. The award was eventually mailed to Brenda, but it was sad she was not able to enjoy the formal dinner with some of our nation's congressmen and women, along with the regalia and celebration of such an honor. It was a well-deserved award, Brenda having been selected by Senator Fred Thompson for helping hundreds of families in Tennessee and nearby states adopt. Not only did she attract families because of her care, training, and efficiency, but also because she had been through the process herself. Brenda could share about the joys and sorrows of adoption from personal experience, having been through 5 adoptions, working with 4 different countries to this point.